Welcome.
Welcome back, guys.
Welcome, pod people.
Hi, friends. Welcome back to the podcast. Thank you for stopping by.
Don't go yet, though.
No, please stay for a while.
Please. This is Bev.
And this is Diz.
And this is...
Trigger warning.
Man, she gets that every time. She knows the name. She's so good.
Woo woo. I hope I know
She
it by
made
now.
straight A's in school.
That is a lie, but we'll pretend like it's true.
Oh, she's a genius.
Okay, guys. So welcome back.
What do we got today
I've
for
got a
our
little
pod
story.
people, Diz?
So today we've got a mysterious disappearance.
A mysterious one?
Yes, as most disappearances are.
Yes. They are usually mysterious unless, they're solved. But
So, some trigger warnings. Of course, we're going to be talking about death.
so I guess they
To a
found the
degree.
person?
No,
No? Oh, okay.
I think we'll be talking about death. I really don't remember at this point. Assault,
Okay.
possible death, I guess. Alleged death.
Alleged.
And then we do actually speak just the tiniest bit about abortion,
Okay.
but it's very,
Brief.
very brief. But
Okay.
just wanted to put that out there. And that's it.
Oh,
Not too bad.
easy peasy lemon
Because
squeezy.
it's a disappearance.
So nothing like what I had last week.
Absolutely not.
That was basically like the trigger warnings were as long as the episode.
It was
so
basically like, okay, guys.
here, let me just list them all off.
There's every single trigger warning
Yes,
ever.
ever. Okay.
Yeah, so this is not going to be fun, but it's not going to be the level of last week.
Okay, good.
It's going to
Because I didn't bring my tissues.
No, we'll be good.
Okay.
But I got some napkins.
Okay.
Some napkins. Okay.
Napkins.
All right, guys. Are you guys ready?
They are.
Bev, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's get into
I
the
was
story.
born ready.
This is the mysterious disappearance of Joan Risch.
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 Okay.
Risch. Okay. Risch is how you spell her last name.
Okay.
I might just say Rich because it's easier to say.
Yeah. Risch
Risch.
sounds like you kind of have a speech impediment.
Like I don't know what
something.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, guys, her last name is going to be Rich.
Okay.
Or maybe I'll just say Joan.
Just call her Joan. It'll be fine.
We're going to talk about Joan.
Joan.
Okay. So it's fall of 1961. It's early morning, and a loving mother and housewife, Joan Risch, wakes up, tells her husband Martin goodbye as he heads out to catch an 8 a.m. flight to New York. She wakes up her two kids. Her daughter is Lillian, she's 4, and her son is David, who is 2. She makes breakfast, feeds the kids, feeds herself. After breakfast, she takes David to a neighbor's house. The neighbor's name is Barbara. And then she takes Lillian to a dentist appointment. Then they go shopping for a little bit after the dentist appointment. And then they head home. On the way home, they stop and pick up David from Barbara's house. And she takes both kids back home around 11:15. She gets the paper and the milk that have both been delivered while she was out. And then a really short time after she arrives, a delivery driver from the dry cleaners arrives to get Martin's suit. He comes, he gets the suit, he leaves. Joan changes from her nice going out clothes
Uh-huh.
into like a little house dress. Because it's 1961, but it's still like the 50s apparently.
Mm-hmm.
A little blue house dress and like little white sneakers of some sort.
Right.
And then she starts making lunch for the kids. After she feeds the kids, she puts David down for his afternoon nap, and he usually naps from about 12 to 2.
Okay.
That's a good nap. And then Barbara, the neighbor, brings her 4-year-old son Douglas over to play with Lillian, and then she goes back to her house. And as she's standing there, she's seeing Joan. Joan is going kind of in and out of the house. She's pruning some flowers or bushes or something.
Okay.
But it's the fall, so I'm not sure exactly, but she had like pruning shears and she was doing something with the plants of some
Doing
sort.
some kind of landscaping.
And she even sees her like put the clippers back in the garage. And then just before 2, Joan takes Lillian and Douglas over to Barbara's,
Mm-hmm.
walks them to the swing set that's in their yard, says, play here, I'll be back in just a little bit. But she doesn't talk to Barbara. So she never says, hey, Barbara, the kids are at the swing set. Okay?
Okay.
Seems really weird to me, but it's
Some of this sounds
1961.
familiar. I may have heard about this on another podcast or something at some
I'm pretty sure
point.
you have.
Like, I remember something about the pruning shears and
Really?
like people knowing kind of her timeline because they'd kind of seen her throughout the day for some reason. But anyway.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
okay.
sure you have. So this will be the last time that Lillian sees her mom ever.
Oh, wow.
Is when her mom's walking away saying, I'll be back in just a little bit, and goes back over to the
And
house.
she just took her over there and didn't talk to the adult. That's so strange.
So Joan was born Joan Carolyn Bard in 1930 in Brooklyn, New York. Her family moved to Mountain Lakes, New Jersey, and then in 1939, when she was about 8 or 9, she lost both of her parents in a house fire.
Oh, geez. Oh.
The fire, they said it seemed suspicious, but it was ultimately deemed an accident, and I didn't go into that, but I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It just said she lost both parents. She was 8 or 9. So she ends up moving in with her maternal aunt, Alice Nattrass, and her uncle, Frank Nattrass. They have 3 boys already, Peter, Ben, and David. They end up adopting her, and she takes their last name. So she is Joan Nattrass. Later on, she attends Wilson College and earns a degree in English Lit in 1952. And then she goes to work in the publishing industry. Starts as a secretary, becomes a supervisor over the secretaries, and then eventually becomes an editorial assistant. In 1955, she marries Martin Risch and leaves the workforce to start a family with him. They begin their lives in Ridgefield, Connecticut, and then in 1957, Lillian is born, and then 2 years later, David is born. And then in the spring of 61, they moved to the house in Lincoln, Massachusetts.
Okay.
They have an acre of land, which most of the land is covered by woods, but of course their house and around it is cleared and everything.
Right.
And Martin ends up working at a paper company like 30 miles away in Fitchburg, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Okay, now we're going to scoot on Tuesday, October 24th. 1 week until Halloween. This is the day. Here's a little timeline of what happens. So Martin leaves for the airport that morning.
Mm-hmm.
His plan is to spend the night. So he is gone. She wakes up the kids. They eat breakfast. She takes David to Barbara's and drops him off. Takes Lillian to the dentist with her and a short shopping trip. She gets the newspaper and milk. No, sorry. They are delivered sometime in that time frame.
Okay.
Then she and Lillian come back. They pick up David from Barbara's. She gets the milk and the paper.
Mm-hmm.
And this is at like 11:15 that they make it back to the house. The dry cleaner driver comes and gets Martin's suits. He leaves. Joan changes into her house dress, makes lunch, feeds the kids, puts David down for a nap, and then Barbara brings a 4-year-old Douglas over to play with Lillian, and they usually play outside. So they're outside in the yard playing at Joan's.
And if this hadn't been in the 60s or like early 60s, there wouldn't have been a milkman and there wouldn't have been a newspaper delivered, so people wouldn't have seen her that many times, probably.
Correct. Right.
Yeah.
And then Barbara goes back to her home. She sees Joan going in and out, messing with her plants, clipping, whatever she's doing. And then at like 1:55, Joan takes Lillian and Douglas back to Barbara, leaves them at the swing set, goes back to her house. All right, guys, here we go. At 2:15, Barbara sees Joan walking up her driveway. She's thinking that she might be wearing a trench coat, which she had worn, like that's the coat she had worn to go out that morning, because it's fall in Massachusetts, so it's cold.
It's chilly, yeah.
She said that her arms were outstretched, and she could see something red, possibly in her arms. And she's going from her car, which is parked in the driveway, towards the garage, which of course is farther back up the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
Barbara's like, oh, she's chasing after David. Little 2-year-old, he's running.
Right.
Because she doesn't know. At some point, she figures out that Lillian is at her house.
Right.
But David, of course, has been napping.
Right. He's still in his crib or whatever.
And this time that Barbara sees her is the last confirmed sighting of Joan at 2:15, walking with her arms outstretched, going up the driveway. At 3:15, Joan's next door neighbor, because Barbara's like across the street, Joan's next door neighbor's daughter, who's like 12 or 13, her name is Virginia Keene. She gets off the school bus and she recalls seeing a dirty two-tone blue vehicle in Joan's driveway. And it's not a vehicle she recognizes. Mm-hmm. It's not their vehicle.
Right.
Joan's car is parked farther into the driveway. This one's parked right at the bottom of the driveway, but not on the street. Okay. At about 3:40, Barbara takes Lillian home, leaves her in the yard after seeing Joan's car in the driveway. And it's like, Joan's home. She's probably getting David up. She just leaves Lillian there. She has her kids in her car and she takes them out shopping. That was at 3:40. At 4:15, Barbara returns to her house and Lillian comes over and tells her that David is in his crib crying, Mommy is gone, and the kitchen is covered in red paint.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this does sound familiar, but I can't remember the details.
So Barbara and her 3 boys follow Lillian back to Lillian's house, and they enter through the side door, which goes right into the kitchen. Mm-hmm. They could see blood in the room, and they could hear David crying from his crib. Mm-hmm. So Barbara goes up or over to get David. I don't know if it was a 2-story house. I'm not really sure. I can't really remember at this point.
So by this time, he's been in the crib since noon, and he usually sleeps for 2 hours, and this has been about 4 hours?
This is now, like 4:15.
Okay. Yeah, he's been up there for a while.
So, okay, so she gets him. He's got like a really wet diaper, so he's obviously been awake for a while, uncomfortable. So she takes all the kids back to her house, and then she calls a neighbor, Mary Jane. And she asks Mary Jane if maybe Joan was at her house, because she thought, well, if Joan got hurt, maybe she went there since I wasn't home, kind of thing. Mary Jane's like, nope, she hasn't been here. So then Mary Jane comes over to Barbara's. They both go back to Joan's house together without the children. I don't know who's watching the kids. It's whatever. And they start looking through the house to make sure that Joan's not just somewhere, like maybe she got hurt and she fell or whatever.
Right. Because of the blood, they think that maybe she hurt herself. Okay.
So they moved a table and possibly a trash can while they were searching around, but they tried not to disturb anything since they didn't really know what had happened. Barbara goes and checks in their cellar. Mary Jane goes outside and looks around. They both meet back up and then go back to Barbara's because they have not found Joan or any sign of her. At 4:33, Barbara calls the police. The first officer to arrive speaks with Barbara, and then, of course, he enters the house through that side door. He sees bloody smears all over the walls, an overturned table. The handset of the wall-mounted phone was ripped loose and thrown in the trash can. So this is like old school, guys, okay? There was no cell phone.
Once upon a time.
So that had been ripped off the wall and was thrown in a trash can. And the trash can itself had been moved. It was normally under the sink, but it had been moved into the middle of the room. And this is not a trash can that that Barbara and Mary Jane would have moved. So the officer's like, this might be a suicide, but there's no body.
Right.
Literally. So he's like, I don't know what's going on. So he's like, I need backup. State detectives are called in and the FBI. Now, a state detective then was part of the state police, but they're like plainclothes, and they tend to handle a lot of the violent crime.
Mm-hmm.
And anything that's violent that happens outside of, like, Boston and, like, the big cities.
Okay.
So they don't wear uniforms, but they are part of state police. The FBI gets called in because they were thinking this might be an abduction. But it's soon they're like, no, we're going to step back. It doesn't really meet the criteria
Right. Mm-hmm.
for us, but they stay and help local police.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So while the police are coming and looking around, Mary Jane goes back home and she calls Martin's work and finds out that he's traveling. So they finally get in touch with him and say, hey, we don't know what's going on. This is what happened. And he gets on the next flight back. It is noted that the actual mail has not been brought in from the mailbox.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why that would be that significant, though, unless it was like she always got the mail at this time and whatever.
Yeah, it may have just helped track her whereabouts. Like, they know when the mail is usually delivered there.
And I guess because, well, I mean,
because it is kind of routine, depending on what neighborhood you're in. You kind of know when your mail usually gets dropped. True. So it's probably part of her timeline.
Yeah. There is a phone book that is seen opened inside the house with, it's open to emergency numbers, because first of all, a phone book.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And it's just open to emergency numbers. It didn't look like anything had been, like, written down, like, I need this number or anything like that. There's a liquor bottle and beer bottles in the trash can in the kitchen. Now, Martin is able to let them know that the liquor bottle was from him and Joan the previous night. They had finished a bottle of liquor.
Okay.
But he doesn't know where the beer bottles came from or why they were in the trash can. I don't know.
Okay.
The trench coat that Barbara thinks she saw was the one that she had been wearing earlier that day, but it was still in the house. So when she thinks she saw her going up the driveway in the trench coat, either she wasn't or something else happened after that, and she didn't have that trench coat on anymore. It was in the house, but she had a kind of plain gray cloth of some kind coat that was gone. Like she had put it on. But it was gray. Her purse was still in the house. She had some money in it. There was a check that she had cashed the previous day. She had like $10 left, which today would be like $105, which is crazy.
Which I'd be taking with me.
Yeah. All right. So we don't really know what's going on. There's blood. Kind of a mess in the house, but just in, like, mainly the kitchen area.
Mm-hmm.
David's been in his crib for hours.
She took her daughter randomly over to someone's yard, not even...
But see, then Barbara did the same thing. So to me, it seems like that's just
that maybe have been what they did, yeah.
Because it's 1961. It's like you would never do that now.
Right.
Never. Like, we just can't even think about that. All right, so then police are investigating. The state police, state detectives are there, and all that stuff. Now we started getting sightings of someone who might be Joan.
Right.
All right, the first sighting was at 2:45. Okay? A woman wearing similar clothes to Joan with, like, a little kerchief over her head and tied under her chin was seen walking on the north side of Route 2A. So they said she was hunched over, appeared, quote, untidy, and that was about it. Okay, 2A's kind of close to them. It's a main route, but it's still pretty close.
So was that feasible for her to have walked that far from...
I think so, yes.
Okay. But they can't confirm that it was her, of course.
Correct.
Right, okay.
Another sighting happened between 3:15 and 3:30. Another woman that appeared to be dressed similarly as Joan was seen walking north on Route 128 in the median. They said she seemed disoriented, was possibly carrying something cradled to her stomach, and had blood running down her freaking legs.
Was she wearing a kerchief? And why didn't someone stop and say, ma'am, are you all right?
Thank you. That is my question. I'm like, Even if it's not her, there's a lady walking down there with blood on her legs.
Right.
Crazy. Okay. That's all that's said about her.
Thanks, bystander.
At 4:30, someone else says that they saw this same lady walking south. So the blood on the legs lady, then she was walking south. And that was about an hour later.
So she's kind of all over the place. Correct. So do they think the lady with the blood on her legs, was she dressed, I know you said similarly to Joan, but did they say similarly to the lady with the kerchief or no?
No, just similar to Joan.
Okay.
Which I'm like, it's 1961.
Yeah, a lot of ladies dressed that way.
The same,
yeah.
Exactly. And it's cold and whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so this vehicle, this two-tone blue vehicle, 5 days prior to the disappearance, their regular milkman saw the two-tone car backed into Joan's driveway 5 days before.
Okay.
All right, this is the one that the girl said she saw, but she didn't
Virginia
recognize
Keene
it.
when she got off the bus.
At 2:45 that day, the day of the disappearance.
Oh, okay, the day of the disappearance. Okay.
Yeah. So at 2:45 that day of the disappearance, a man saw a light blue 1959 Ford parked along a nearby street. It's called Sunnyside Lane. It's just very close by. But it was a light blue vehicle. They were thinking it might be related. It could be that two-tone. And then at 3:35 is when Virginia Keene sees, they say anywhere from a 54 to a 56 Chrysler in the driveway. Joan's car was a 1951 Chevy that was parked farther up the driveway. At 4:15, a neighbor said she saw a blue two-tone vehicle parked on Sunnyside Lane. She said she saw him. Okay, this is great. She saw a man get out of the vehicle, cuts branches from the woods, from trees in the wooded area nearby, puts them in the vehicle and drives away. And it's not like she said he did a whole stack of, it's like he cut some branch. I don't know. That's just weird.
Yeah. Well, and what confuses me is if these cars are being seen at those times, that's the same times that these women are being spotted on the roads walking. So one of the two of them is not related to her then.
Right. It's weird. And it's so many times.
Yeah.
For the sightings and the sightings of the vehicle, allegedly.
Because if the two-tone car is there at 3:45 and then the lady with the blood on her legs is at 3:30 on a different road, then obviously like, she's not Joan, because why would he be there?
Right.
Or that car be there if Joan is walking down a road with blood on her legs?
Right. It's crazy. It does not make a bit of sense. Okay, so now we're going to talk about blood.
Okay.
The blood inside the house, specifically the kitchen. So there's large smears on the walls and the floor, and they notice that it's kind of in an arc from the area near the hallway to the middle of the kitchen. Blood splatter. Spatter.
Spatter, splatter.
Same thing. There's some blood on the phone. There are 3 bloody fingerprints found, but they're unidentified. They don't know whose they are. A palm print was located. They do know it didn't belong to anyone that had been at that house that day, that they are aware of them being there. Okay. So they know it's no one that had been there that day. There's like a roll of drawing paper on the floor in the kitchen. And I think there's some blood on it, like someone was wiping their hands almost.
Okay.
With this paper. Sorry, guys, I just hit the microphone because I talk with my hands. So the roll of drawing paper has some blood on it. A table is thrown in the hallway. A pair of underwear and coveralls, which were obviously David's, were on the floor. Both of those were bloody, like someone was trying to wipe their hands. There was blood. It was a little bit heavier near the phone area. And they said it seemed consistent with someone who, like, got hurt and was, like, staggering around trying to figure out what to do.
They're in a kitchen. There's water there.
Right?
Okay. Maybe they're dumb.
There is a single drop of blood on the first step in their stairway. There's 2 more drops at the top of the stairs, 8 drops in the master bedroom, and then 1 drop in the kids' room near the window.
Okay.
Now we're going to talk about the blood that's outside.
Okay.
There's a trail of blood from the kitchen down the driveway, and it ends at Joan's car, at the back of her car. There is blood on Joan's car. The right rear fender has blood. The left side of the car, like near the hood, near the windshield, there's some blood right there. There's also blood at the center of the trunk on the outside of the car. Like where you would, in theory, put your hand to close it.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of like right in there.
Okay.
They didn't say it was a handprint, fingerprint. They just said blood. Now, the trail is ending at her car, and to them, they're thinking, she might have gotten in someone else's car right there.
Right.
But again, it's like, what, whose, why? Is she injured and she called someone? Like,
is she injured, or is the person that she left with injured?
Right? So Sadie, a state police dog,
yay,
was brought out and tracked her scent and blood, and she followed the scent down the driveway to Barbara's house. This is the scent, not the blood, which makes sense because Joan had walked the kids over, or walked Lillian over, and then Lillian and Douglas. The blood was on the side of the house. Okay, so Sadie doesn't really find anything else. She pretty much stops at Barbara's, and that's all she ever can really smell.
Okay.
Period. Which also suggests she gets in someone else's car, if you think about it.
Yeah.
So one thing they noticed is that the blood in the kitchen was on the side of the kitchen that's away from the sink and all the appliances and the table and everything. It was like a empty side of the room, sort of, is where all the blood ends up being.
Okay.
There's no footprints found anywhere, even though there's blood kind of everywhere. Mm-hmm. However, they did say the total amount of blood was only equal to about half a pint.
Okay, so that's not deadly.
That is not a life-threatening injury.
No, not at all.
There was no clear evidence of a struggle. Like, there was, like, the trash can was thrown over, but nothing that's like someone's ransacking the house.
Right.
They can't rule out that she got injured, but they're like, where is she then? Because it wouldn't have killed her. The amount of blood she lost wouldn't have killed her.
Right.
And if she had hurt herself, she would be laying there.
Yeah.
If she hurt herself in the house. Now, the blood that was found was type O, which was Joan's type.
Okay.
However, type O is the most common type of blood. Mm-hmm. And up to like 38% of the population has that type. So,
yeah,
it's probably hers, but yeah. Just FYI, I'm AB positive.
Thank you for sharing. Special.
Yeah, pretty much. Only like 3 to 4%. I had to look all that up.
Well, I was AB honor roll, so there you go.
There you go. Anyway, I just thought that was really interesting. Okay, so the blood, most likely hers, but we don't know. Yeah.
Did they save any of the blood for DNA testing later in life?
I believe so, but it really didn't go into that in anything that I read. I'm pretty sure they did.
I wonder if they saved it and we could genealogical that stuff later.
Right?
Because if there's enough blood, if there was somebody that did abduct her, then they could have gotten injured as well, and there might be blood from them in the house too.
Yeah. But there's a good chance they would also be the same type.
Yeah.
And this is just type of blood. This is not DNA.
They might find DNA instead of like in the blood.
So one thing they did whilst investigating is, I don't know why, they went to the library and to look at the library records, and they found that Joan had checked out around 25 books that summer. So they had just moved there in the spring. That summer, she had checked out about 25 books, and about 7 or 8 of them had to do with true crime and like missing persons. So they found that interesting. She was interested in that kind of stuff. That doesn't mean she did anything. But one of the books she had taken out from the library was Into Thin Air. And it's a fictional book by Harry Carmichael about a woman who disappears. Yes. Leaving blood smears and a towel behind. Okay? So people are like, maybe she staged this like that, and she just wanted to get on out of there.
Because she did leave her kids in safe places.
Right.
And her husband was on a work trip, so it was a perfect day for it, I guess.
Now, one thing I will say, they talked to one of her good friends, and she's like, I just don't think she would have left.
Yeah.
Because she was happy being a mom.
Yeah. I mean, it's doubtful, but...
But you never know.
Yeah.
Who knows? Okay. Now, we have some suspects. The first one is Robert Foster. So Robert worked for the National Park Service. And this area where Joan lived had been designated a Minuteman Historical Park. The Minuteman from the Revolutionary War.
Okay.
This was the route the British had taken when they marched from Boston to the Battle of Lexington and Concord in April of 1775.
Okay.
Which was considered the very beginning of the war.
Okay.
So it's pretty historic in that area.
Mm-hmm.
So the plan that the Park Service was doing was they wanted to remove all buildings and structures that had been built after 1775, which, let's face it, probably just about everything, unless it's a huge, like city hall or something like that.
Right, yeah, unless it's some really old building.
All the houses
really
in that
old
area are going to be demolished. And they want to bring it back to its, quote, historic look.
Yeah.
I don't know why they thought they had to do that.
I don't know either.
Okay, so Robert ends up being a purchasing agent for the National Park Service. And he had been going around all the neighborhoods in that area, talking about the project and, like, what the plans are. But some of the women, because most of the time it was women at home and men were working. So when he would get to the house, it would be the woman at home. And they were saying that they felt like he overstayed his welcome. He didn't really do anything that was inappropriate.
But he was making them uncomfortable.
Just like, you need to leave. And he visited Joan's house about a month before she disappeared in like September of that year. So about almost to the day, September 25th. And this was October 24th that she disappeared. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But it literally could just be a coincidence.
Right.
So Foster, Robert's supervisor, ended up vouching for him and his alibi. So they're pretty sure it wasn't him. They started offering a reward for any information, and the state police, the town of Lincoln, Massachusetts, and the Boston Record's American newspaper offered the reward together. I don't know what it was. It never said how much.
And just a quick little thing here. If the guy worked for the National Park Service, he would know where to put a body that would never be found. Just saying.
That's an excellent point. I wonder what kind of car he drove.
I don't know.
So they offered a reward, but nothing ever really developed that was useful. All right. So her husband, Martin, lived in their house until 1975, when the National Park Service bought all the houses in that area and proceeded with their, quote, take-back plan. He, of course, has David and Lillian, takes care of them. In fact, Lillian stays until she gets married, and then David, he stays with Martin a little bit longer. They never officially declared Joan dead. He would not let them do that.
Really?
Really. He ended up living in a very similar looking house in Lincoln, kept the same phone number in case Joan came back or tried to contact him.
So he thought she was still alive.
He never remarried, and then he just died in 2009, and he was 79.
Wow.
That's really the only official suspect was Robert. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the theories, though.
Okay.
This is what I was talking about earlier. They, of course, think she planned this.
Right.
Like, she wanted to leave. But her friend was actually a college friend. She's like, no. She loved her life. She loved her husband and her kids. And she was happy. And her friend, whose name was Sabra Morton. I'm so sorry if I say that wrong. Sabra Morton. She said in an interview in 96 that she thought Joan was most likely dead. She didn't say if she thought it was a murder or anything like that. I assume that's what she thinks. Then they thought maybe it was just an accident. Okay? Even though there's not a whole lot of blood, but maybe it was just an accident. An investigator in the 90s thinks that she may have become disoriented for some unknown reason.
Some people get, like, disoriented and kind of weirded out when they see blood.
True.
So if she unexpectedly, like, cut herself or something, maybe she kind of went into, like, a fugue state or something.
That's true. So since there were, like, the alleged sightings of a woman that looked like her, similar to her, this investigator thought that she might have become disoriented, been walking down the road, and then fell into, like, a pit or a ditch because they were doing construction on the road at that time on Route 128, which she was seen going north and south, allegedly.
Right.
And then she fell in, couldn't get out, and then no one knew she was there, and they covered her up with dirt and such.
So until the road gets rerouted somehow or an interstate starts to be put through there or whatever,
we will not know.
They wouldn't know.
So Martin believes that she might have had amnesia. He thinks she's probably still alive, at least then.
Yeah.
That she had amnesia or had like a psychotic break and just didn't remember where her home was or how to get there. And that is why he never moved or stayed in the same city, never changed his phone number in case she remembered that. He
That's
never got a
sad.
phone call from him, from her either.
Yeah.
They, of course, looked at Martin, his husband.
Well, that would have been easy to verify if he was actually in another state.
Alibi.
Yeah.
He really was working, and he was in a different state, and there was no motive. Like, they're like, he didn't have like a huge like insurance policy out on her.
No evidence of an affair or anything like that.
No evidence of an affair is literally one of my little bullet points.
Well, we all know the reasons for why a husband kills a wife or vice versa.
Right.
And it's life insurance money and an affair are the top two.
And everyone said pretty much they just got along. They were both religious people. They were, quiet and reserved, and they both were, and they just fit together. No one ever really were like, no, something bad was happening. Everyone's like, they were great. Okay, this is the last thing. One of the theories was that it was a botched abortion.
Okay.
Because police happened to find a hanger on the top of her car. That's it. And that there was blood in the kitchen.
Was there blood on the hanger?
Didn't say. Probably not enough blood anywhere for it to have been a botched abortion, let's be honest.
And then also, too, where is she?
Not to mention, well, exactly, she would still be there. But her son's asleep upstairs in his room and could wake up at any time. Her daughter is at the neighbor's and could be brought back at any time. It's not like she's just going to be by herself for hours and hours and could do whatever she... Yeah. And they're just like, we don't think she was pregnant. We just don't think that's it. All because of a stupid hanger. I'm like, well, the suit guy came
I was getting ready to say, didn't the guy come to pick up the suits earlier? That explains why there was a hanger there.
It's on the car, but I'm like, so?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, that is idiotic. I'm sorry. I thought that was really stupid.
He could have dropped one or whatever and then picked it up and laid it there and forgot it. Like,
maybe she had it in her car when she was getting the kids out.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, let me lay it up because she had her trench coat hanging on it, or I don't know.
There's a million different reasons besides an abortion that a hanger could be laying on top of a car.
I'm like, are you kidding? But it's 1961, so I think
they're like, oh, it's a woman and there was blood and she's missing, so it must be a botched abortion. Mm-hmm. Oh
so
my gosh!
Fall, she will have been missing for 64 years.
So she's probably no longer alive if she was still
in her 30s.
Yeah, I mean, she could be technically, I guess, but.
I don't know what I think. That's it. That's the full story of what I could find. I don't really know what I think.
It could be something as random as a stranger saw her and decided he wanted to take her.
Yeah.
And kill her.
True.
I mean, there are serial killers that just pick random people, and maybe that's what happened. It could have been something weird and rare, like a fugue state where she cut herself and it kind of caused her to just blink out of it for a second, and who knows where she went and never got her old life back or whatever.
With the botched abortion, the lady that had blood going down her legs,
I
could see where that could make
that might have connected.
I just connected that myself, but I still am like, I just don't think that's it.
Yeah. And I guess that could also cause the disorientation and could also cause kind of like a fugue state if you shocked if you kind of like,
I think there would be
the shock of it.
So much more blood.
Yeah. Yeah. And
for anything,
like, why would it just be drops here and drops there? And
well, like upstairs in the kids' room.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, David was asleep.
Unless she was just mentally kind of out of it then and did cause a psychotic break trying to do that to herself. Because
one drop of blood here and a couple there.
Yeah.
I just have a hard time believing that.
Yeah. I don't know. That's really strange.
There was more in the master bedroom, but there was only like 8 drops that they found.
Yeah.
And then 1 in the kids' room by the window.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just random places.
They never said anything about like a knife being like laying on the counter or anything like that, where it's like.
And we know there was a hanger, but it doesn't say a bloody hanger.
No, and it never did. I think it was just a regular.
Just a hanger. It's like, was it unwrapped? Like, was the wire loosened on it?
Right.
Like, it was just a hanger, then it probably wasn't that.
And it's like, so if someone was happening by, and saw her like walking from Barbara's to her house.
Yeah.
And like was like, oh, look, there's a lady or whatever. I could see maybe them like her going into the house and someone following her.
Right.
I just feel like there would be more blood and more evidence. Of course, she may not have fought back, kind of thing. I don't know. But with the phone pulled, like, that's crazy.
Right.
But that kind of goes with like a fugue state.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's so many things that just don't quite add up.
Yeah. Well, and if she like cut herself, or I mean, let's say that the two-tone Ford was somebody that she kind of knew and kind of trusted, like from like her Sunday school class. Okay. Since she didn't work, so let's say from her Sunday school class. Yeah. So it was a man from her Sunday school class, and he came by, and maybe the car had been seen there before because he'd come over there before and brought her something about the class. So he shows up that day and happens to see her as she's leaving Barbara's house. And she's like, oh, hey there. And he follows her inside and is asking her something, and then he gets fresh with her, and she's trying to defend herself, and there's a scuffle and a knife or whatever, and she reaches for the phone like, I'm going to call the police or whatever, and he yanks it off the wall to get it out of her hand and suddenly realizes, like, this has gone a step too far.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to actually be in trouble. And my reputation is going to be ruined.
Yeah.
And so then he forces her out of the house, drip, drip, drip down the driveway to her car, and then to his car, and then they leave. And he has no choice because, like, at that point, she knows who he is. And, you know, he's got a family and he's a good church-going guy or whatever.
Right.
And it was kind of an unexpected thing. Like, he just went to see her because maybe he just kind of had a thing for her or whatever. And just wanted to see her and happened to catch her as she was walking by. Maybe he drives by the house kind of often. Who knows? You know? That's
a good point. I didn't even think about that.
And it could be something that was quick. He could have stuck a little knife in his pocket. It could have been a pocket knife.
Yeah, and it could have just been a completely, like...
Yeah.
Came over and then... If only David could talk.
Yeah.
Of course, he was up in his room. Who knows?
Yeah. But, and then,
that's the
you know,
most
something like that.
Thing that I've heard so far that actually makes sense.
And so there's a little struggle. So there's smears on the wall. There's, you know, and she says, maybe she says, the baby's crying. I've got to go check on him. And she manages to get away from him to go up and check on him thinking, what can I do? Can I yell for a neighbor? Can I, you know, and so she walks over to like, walks into the baby's room. She goes in the master bedroom. She's like, I've got to do something, whatever. And she comes back downstairs and says, you know, let's just forget about it. I won't say anything to anybody, whatever. And he's like, okay, let me just take you to the hospital. You know, that's a bad cut or whatever. And she's walked outside and he says, you know, if you want to get your jacket out of the car, whatever, you know, because there's blood on her car.
It's cold.
It's cold.
So go get your jacket.
And then he gets her in his car and she's gone. And he takes her somewhere and has to kill her because now she knows. And he doesn't trust the fact that she might not tell somebody because, oh, her husband will come home and he'll say, what happened to your hand that's cut? What happened? Why is there a blood smear on the wall? Or what happened with this? Or, you know.
Well, with the blood being in an arc, too.
Mm-hmm.
And then he could have driven on Route 128 and dropped her in that ditch or whatever.
Yeah.
Or farther. Who knows?
Yeah. Or that lady could have just been some random something else that had nothing to do with it.
Right.
But
you may have just cracked the case.
Maybe he pulled over on the one road somewhere and cut some branches off to help cover up her body.
Ooh.
I don't know. There's usually...
That's a very interesting...
Maybe she was beamed up by aliens.
It could have been aliens.
It could have been.
She was like, whoo, surprised. And cut herself by accident. Yeah. Wait, there wasn't a bloody knife that they could find, so maybe that's not
aliens are always surprised. Well, they took that with them.
They're like, we got to get rid of the evidence.
Everybody's always shocked when they're beaten up by aliens.
So, guys...
Yeah, I have heard that story before, and it is confusing because you have such a like consistent like sightings timeline for her for like most of the day.
Yeah,
and then she's just vanished. Yeah. And you'd think with the amount of evidence you have and with the amount of sightings you have and everything that it would be easily solvable.
Yeah.
But then it's like suddenly like the clock strikes 3 and we have no idea where she is and whatever happened to her.
Yeah, and she's just
gone.
Gone.
Yeah. Her car's still there, her purse is still there, her blood is still there, and she is gone. And not enough blood to have killed her. And like so obviously she's not mortally wounded. So like did she try to take herself to the hospital? But if she did, why is her car not there? So somebody had to be there to drive her away from there.
Yeah, because she would have had to have taken
because if she was walking, she would have walked to a neighbor and been like, I need help. Can you call an ambulance or take me to the doctor?
And will you go get David out of his crib? He's by himself right now.
Exactly. So it had to have been something, an emergency, and there had to have been someone else there. And if the girl that got off the bus saw that car at 3:45 or whatever.
3:30, I think.
Then maybe that was when it happened. Maybe he went back over because he dropped something, his wallet, whatever, and got it.
That would have been nice.
Yeah. Like, or, but it could have been that's when it happened.
Interesting.
I just wish that when she took her daughter over to Barbara's that she had told her, hey,
yeah,
I'm going to run and do blah. Because then that would have at least given us another clue. Because that makes me think she was doing something that she wasn't supposed to be doing.
Right.
Or something secretive. But then that could have even been like, I'm going to tell Barbara I'm going shopping, but what I'm really doing is picking up Lillian's birthday cake, but I can't say that in front of Lillian. Or I'm picking up
It could just
a
be
gift for Barbara because she's babysat for me a few times this week.
Or harmful. It was
just something that has to be a secret. Yeah, a surprise for somebody. But it would be nice if there had been some kind of conversation, and then we could have said, okay, well, she said she was going to go shopping. Let's check at the grocery store and see if she went shopping,
Right.
And see if there was another sighting, because then we could narrow down the timeline a little bit more. But she just dropped her kid off. And like you said, it was 1961. It's a different time. And it was not like it was a random person's house, because it was, a lady that babysat her kids all the time anyway. But it's still it's so strange. And that had to be so frustrating for her kids growing up and for her husband to just not know where she was and what happened to her. And I hope if somebody did something to her, I hope they never got a good night's sleep.
Me too.
Ever.
I know that's right.
Well, yeah, so any theories, anybody? Email us at triggerwarning411@gmail.com.
Let us know.
Let us know your theories. And if it's aliens, too late. We already called that one, so... You have to come up with something else more clever.
Yeah. Come on, lay it on us, guys.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Until then,
watch for deer.